Well, it's been a hot minute since I've talked about this show, but with season 4 just releasing now on Hulu/Disney Plus, they're starting to come out with weekly episodes again. I haven't touched on season 3 of Only Murders in the Building, so better late than never. And let me just say that I think with this season right here, it's establishing Only Murders in the Building as one of my favorite new shows to come out lately. It may not be the objective best show I've ever seen in my natural-born life, but this is one of my favorites now. So this third season finds our podcasting trio, Charles, played by Steve Martin, Oliver, once again played by Martin Short, and Mabel, once again played by Selena Gomez, confronted with the latest death, which, spoiler alert, was teased in the season 2 finale. That was the big cliffhanger, where we see Ben Glenroy, played by Paul Rudd here, bite the dust. He's a movie star who just happens to be the lead in Oliver's big comeback play on Broadway, in which Charles also has a supporting role. And now, without giving too much away, our podcasters are once again confronted with an investigation. And I think in addition to the performances and the comedic, dramatic, whimsiness of Only Murders in the Building, I think it's the fact that this show is constantly keeping me guessing. There was one character, and I'll talk about the actress in a minute, who we're introduced to. I was convinced that she was the killer. I was just thinking, this is how we're going to get from point A to point B, and it looks like, for the most part, it looks like this season was heading in that direction. But then it just completely flips a 180, and honestly, I can't wait to rewatch Only Murders in the Building with Lindsay, because she's interested in watching this also, because she is very much into true crime, let me tell you. And the fact that this season is also set in the hallowed halls of a Broadway theater, yeah, I think you guys can take a wild guess which season so far has been my favorite. Season 3, I think, has honestly been the most fun to sit through. Not that the last 2 seasons weren't, but this one, I think, was catered to someone like me. And I don't know if it's the best overall season we've gotten so far, but this might be my personal favorite. And objectively, again, the 3 leading performances are really what make this show stand out, and their odd couple-like chemistry that they all share with one another. Steve Martin I've always found funny in his style of comedy, and he gets a lot of really zany to do this season too. But I don't know, it just really didn't feel like his arc was anything all that spectacular this time around, especially as opposed to the previous 2 installments. Selena Gomez as Mabel as well wasn't really lighting the world on fire for me, especially in regards to her story. Her performance was just fine, but it's almost like I've seen this arc before. She's just turning 30, which I'm sure is going to make all the Wizards of Waverly Place fans feel very old. I mean, I don't know, I never really grew up with Wizards of Waverly Place, but if you did, more power to you. More power to you. But yeah, it's honestly the storyline that is very relatable, but I've seen it done a million other different times in other forms of media, where she's kind of turning the corner in her age, and it's like she feels stuck in her life. It's not that what she finds in her life to be a bad thing whatsoever, but again, I've seen this storyline before. I'm sorry I'm being vague about this, but I don't want to spoil anything for you. Martin Short, on the other hand, he, as Oliver Putnam, stole this entire season for me. And I think his entire arc in season 3 is what is going to make Oliver Putnam my favorite character in this show. Because this guy is riddled with so much anxiety. And who can blame him? He has been working so hard to get a show on Broadway, and he's been a has-been for most of his career. And now he has a chance to revitalize his career. This show is a real opportunity for Martin Short to really recapture the hearts and minds of the audiences who watch it. And man, I think he does. There were a few points where Martin Short, honestly, he kind of had me tearing up a little bit. It's absolutely wild what he does here. He is so damn good in this. Everybody is. And I'll address it. Yeah, you get Meryl Streep introduced. Yes, Meryl Streep. That Meryl Streep. Her schedule has opened up to have a full slate of episodes here, and I honestly don't see her arc ending anytime soon. And yeah, it's Meryl Streep. What else do you want me to say? This performance is absolutely great. And I'm sure just because of her work in this show and because of who she is, the Emmys are just going to hand her a nomination. I'm not saying that she absolutely is. I'm just going off of recent patterns here. But in addition to Martin Short, you want to know whose performance really impressed me this time around? Paul Rudd. I mean, I know everybody knows who Paul Rudd is. I know everybody loves him as Ant-Man. He really shocked me with how great he was and how he kind of detracted away from the public perception of him. This is such a completely different turn that totally plays against his archetype. You guys remember Edward Norton in Birdman? That was a movie I talked about not too long ago on this channel. Yeah, Imagine if Edward Norton's character in that flick was a bit watered down and a bit more family friendly. That's Paul Rudd in this. Now, yes, there is a gimmick of him getting over an eating disorder, and that may trigger some viewers, and they may not enjoy seeing that. But I think every frame, every opportunity Paul Rudd gets to shine in this show, he is super entertaining. And that honestly boils down to what Only Murders in the Building is. It is pure entertainment. Again, if you're a fan of these three main actors, if you're a fan of true crime and how podcasters approach true crime and how they talk about true crime, this is absolutely a show I would recommend, not just for the people who are overly fascinated by true crime shows, but just TV fans in general, entertainment fans in general. I feel like anybody can watch this show and love it. It's on Hulu, it's on Disney Plus if you're a subscriber right now. Season 4 just kicked off and I can't wait to get it started. And I can't wait to talk about that with you guys. But here's the thing. I am a critic after all, and I gotta look at things a little bit constructively here. So there was one thing in this season that I don't remember if they went back to this method of storytelling in the previous 2 seasons. It's been a while since I've seen it. So if I mentioned it in one of my previous reviews over the past couple of years, I apologize. But there's a method of storytelling that these showrunners are doing here in regards to how our heroes are figuring out the crime. And just the way it's presented on screen as they're unpeeling the layers here. It's almost like the podcasters are inside the room as the crime is going on, as they're figuring it out. Now that can be a pretty neat idea in concept and in theory. But when it's actually done, it actually feels like pretty inconsistent storytelling. And there's a point where they're in the room while a certain crime is going on, and like the only evidence that they have is some CCTV footage or what have you. And the character who they're focusing on turns the camera off. And yet they're still kind of able to deduce that. I get it. These people are very smart, but they're also not trained investigators or police officers or anything like that. So how in the world are they trained to come up with this sort of thing? Maybe this was explained in another season and I'm just an idiot who forgot, but in this case, it felt like a pretty big plot hole. But other than that little issue, I love Only Murders in the Building. This is a really fun, fast-paced, entertaining show. It's a really easy show to sit through as well, with the episodes hovering around 35 to 40 minutes apiece. The performances are all incredibly entertaining. The crimes they're in and the mysteries that they're solving are very unpredictable. And I think it's a show that anybody can watch and enjoy. I'm going to give Only Murders in the Building Season 3 an A. You know, ever since this show was announced at D23 during the pandemic, I didn't really know what to think of it. Like, it seemed like a very random hodgepodge of a trio of actors to actually have as your stars. But their chemistry, oddly enough, it works, man. Let me know what you think of Only Murders in the Building down in the comments section below. Who is your favorite character? What has been your favorite episode so far? Has Season 3 been your favorite? Lots that we can talk about and then some over here. Hit that subscribe button if you have stumbled across this stupid face for the first time. I love discussing all new things in the cinematic world, in the television world, and in the entertainment world in general. So if you like discussing all those topics and more, this is the channel for you. Hit that like button as well. That would be a huge help. And stay tuned for more videos hitting the channel very soon. As always, y'all are the best. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence.